A Romantic Enchantment Guide. Chapter 1. Romance in History. Romance in History. Romance is the ephemeral pleasant fog you enter with someone for a brief moment that goes back to the times of childhood when you felt truly loved and peaceful. In civilized society, we have the polarities of primal sex for the pleasure of one to erotic romance, a mutual sharing, caring affair for the pleasure of two. As individuals, we live on a sliding scale on this continuum depending on our moods, whether we're alone and lonely and who we're with. Society, through romantic tales and religion, has managed to tame most of us to lean towards the erotic romantic side, to strive to make sex a loving thing which is good to keep structure and order among the masses, but locked away in our minds are both our primal sexual and idealistic romantic fantasies. So all throughout history, enlightened people have written poems and stories to express some of these thoughts hidden away, at least to a marginal degree, except for Marquis de Sade, arguably one of the few extremists who went all out in expressing his idea at the expense of any pro-social self-censoring or romantic sentiments whatsoever, and also manipulated public opinion such that people got their erotic ideas of love from the romantic literature and love songs of their day. I'm touched when I see a great love story in a movie or hear a great love song. It makes me want to recapture those wisps of strong love I felt in my youth, but then again I'm mature, it's just a momentary feeling. I have my toes and fingers. I'm thankful for my life right now and realize that romance is largely a fantasy presented through the media to sell product. The reality of most people's lives doesn't come close to a romantic love story in a TV commercial with two young, perfect-looking, healthy lovers in an easy-breezy embrace on a tropical resort isle without a care in the world. The line between raw sexuality and romantic bliss is the imagination. The human imagination adds erotic fuel to our bare and naked primal sexuality as well as to our romantic relationships with our partners, so it's a good thing to use erotica to help enhance our sexuality and our love lives with our partners. In a Christian-dominated, repressed world for much of the modern era in the West, romantic erotica has been a breath of fresh air to help enhance the sex and love lives of many people who would otherwise have only the one-dimensional biblical view to live by. Throughout history, romantic literature aka eroticism has always been a counterbalancing force to the repressive nature of religion, politics, and the drudgery of life, letting the human imagination add some erotic spice to the one-dimensional sex for procreation ideals of Christianity, but only enough to titillate the masses, not enough such that people en masse abandon the rules and taboos of the day in favor of full-fledged hedonism. So romantic literature has always had its place, but it was a minor, controlled, censored place in the grand scheme of an orderly life within society. In a sense, the sexual orgasm and the rapture of a spiritual communion with God may seem like contradictory goals on opposite sides of the fence, but the truth is that they describe the same basic process of transcendence, a way to get beyond mundanity by experiencing something blissful. Even though hedonism and religion have always opposed each other ideologically, on a basic fundamental level, they're both about the same thing, trying to seek higher states of consciousness. Both are trying to find heaven on earth, a return back to the original divine spark from whence we came. Look at romance as man's attempts to connect with the divine. At his base, he is a primal being. At his best, he is as divine as God. Poised midway between these two extremes is reality. Romance is man's attempt to connect with his higher ideals, the beauty, love, and perfection in his life, and share them with a lover. Chivalry/gallantry has been traditionally viewed as a moral code of life lived by Christian knights in the Middle Ages, pledging to be brave, honorable, and courageous in word and in deed, both to uphold the Christian tradition, rid the world of evil people, vanquish tyrants, slay dragons, and rescue damsels in distress. Chivalry bonded the aristocratic warrior classes from many different nations and sugar-coated the reality of war and the reality of their plundering ways as a group to delude them and their adoring public into thinking they were highly functioning, elite noble beings on the cutting edge of society. In reality, Christian knights were no better than the heathen warriors they fought, plundering what they could from captured lands for their own wealth, raping women, drinking heavily, and basically doing anything they wanted as long as they had the larger armies and controlled the power wherever they were. But they got lazy and corrupt, which gave the Muslims a chance to regroup, recapture their lands and finally kick the Christians out of Asia by the 15th century. In a way, Christianity and chivalry were ideals used by the past rulers of Europe to help civilize the barbaric tribes north of the Mediterranean into nations, namely all tribes except for Spain, France, Greece and Italy, all coastal nations who were more worldly than the bards in the savage northern city-states because they had ships and traded with the world. The others just lived by themselves in the elements. Latin was introduced as the language of Christianity and also as the first Romantic language, which was the base from which the other Mediterranean languages developed in early European history. In the early days before the vernacular, everyday spoken language became the standard for books and songs. Minstrels from all over used Latin as the common language in which to compose their stories. The myth of chivalry is markedly different from the reality. Minstrels were the pop stars of their day, artist-musicians who went around composing ballads to flatter and appease the nobility, entertaining them, whereupon these gentry gave them money and a place to stay for a while until they got tired of them or they got restless. Then these minstrels went to the next feudal state to repeat the process. These tales they created and sung about were meant to appeal to the vanity of their benefactors, so they were often the heroic, noble tales of chivalry we usually associate with medieval life, namely the King Arthur Camelot myth, which many people have written about, the most famous version probably being Idylls of the King by Lord Alfred Tennyson. The proverbial love story of old is the noble prince or knight, the distressed, dainty maid/princess/heroine, the wise old man/wizard mentor, the oppressor/bad guy/enemy/dragon, the scheming old mother-in-law/witch, the court jester/comical cousin, the trusty sidekick, etc. After a few heroic adventures and misadventures where the noble knight defeats the evil forces and sees the world, he always ends up with his damsel at the altar to get married and live happily ever after. Hence, this was the paradigm of success held up for young men to aspire to. In many of the chivalrous tales from old Europe, including what we today call fairy tales, great detail is given to the knight's exploits, but quite often at the end of the story, his female lovers aren't even named, just described as his woman and his lover, so we have to question whether these stories were romantic in nature or merely the primitive version of action-adventure movies or army commercials geared to inspire men to become soldiers and explorers. The chivalrous tales of old served a very useful pragmatic function. They were the propaganda of their day, inspiring many a young man to sign up for war and exploratory expeditions to other parts of the world in order to get adventure in their lives and impress the women enough to be attracted to them. Throughout history, the literary writings of romance and chivalry were often far removed from the reality of life, but this was their purpose, to provide a mythical ideal which the people could be inspired to aspire to. It isn't really much different today, even if we do live in a technologically advanced society. The lesson I get from romantic literature, at least from the Christian era of Middle Ages Europe, is that it was a propaganda tool not unlike the Muslim myth that was used to inspire soldiers that said if you die in battle you will immediately go to a blissful place in heaven complete with women and intoxicants, hashish. In the medieval Christian vein, if you serve God, king, and country as a noble knight, you will get your just reward of a beautiful young woman to marry. It's no different than the propaganda of modern times with our love movies, or more specifically, the World War II war movies, where the good guy soldiers always had their girl at home waiting for them to come back, as so many end of the war reunion scenes illustrated. The nice guy who obeys the law and does all the right things as required by conformist success always ends up getting the nice girl and living happily ever after in modern romantic literature, as opposed to pulp fiction romance novels which are flat-out fantasy fests of impossible Don Juan, alpha male adventurers. Who are our modern actors who play the love interests in so-called romantic comedies? Tom Hanks and Hugh Grant, two harmless-looking, slightly bumbling nice, non-controversial nerdy conformists with respectable jobs. Some of the other cultures may have written about love, sex, and romance with more pure motives of what they really felt, like the Greek and Roman myths and legends, but I'm inclined to think with all the power the Church had in Europe during the Middle Ages, no one would dare dispute it, so they wrote their little idyllic stories about the noble, obedient knight helping everybody out, then getting his fair maiden to marry in a monogamous relationship, quite tame next to the luscious, beautiful. Interesting stories from Greek mythology about nymphs, androgynous creatures, incest, passion, multiple lovers, orgies, etc. In the end, romantic love and the literature of romantic love is the attempt of two people to touch the timelessness of the transcendent and the immortal quality of life as best as they can if such a thing exists. Romantic love can't shield you from the pain, problems, and hardship of life but can make them that much more bearable and give you brief moments of extreme happiness here and there. It comes down to two people trying to make their vision of heaven on earth, Eden, as real as they can to the best of their ability. We will all get old and die, that's the tragedy and reality of human life, but while we live, we can touch immortality here and there by experiencing some of our higher order possibilities, one of which is romantic love. The book The Double Flame, Love and Eroticism, English translation, 1995, by Octavio Paz, Nobel Prize winner in literature, 1990, attempts to cover the entire history of romance in literature and analyze it. Near the end of the book, he makes his profound points. The ills that affect modern society are political and economic, but they are moral and spiritual as well, threatening the foundation of our civilization, the idea of the human person. The idea has been the source of political and intellectual freedoms, it has also been the creator of one of the great human inventions, love. A little later, he says, love is not the search for the idea or the essence, neither is it a path toward a state transcending idea and non-idea, good and evil, being and non-being. Love seeks nothing beyond itself, no good, no reward. It does not pursue a final aim above it. It is indifferent to any sort of transcendence, it begins and ends in itself. It is an attraction exerted by a soul and a body, not by an idea. By a person. That person is unique and endowed with freedom. In order to possess that person, the lover must win over that person's will. Possession and surrender are reciprocal sets. Try hashtag 809.05 to 809.933, hashtag 810.88-90 or PN56 to PS751 at the library for books about sex, love, and eroticism in literature. The Romantic Spirit. Some years ago, while hitchhiking, I met a guy and girl who traveled around the country in an RV sharing their love of rock climbing and competing in contests. I saw a pianist-singer duo who performed together as their job. Another couple run a small health resort together. I sense that they really enjoy being with each other all the time. This is the deeper type of romantic love, find someone who shares your life force and live it out with them. A couple I know are writers, working as freelancers, contracting out for mostly functional, technical jobs. They do their work together, editing each other's essays. This works for them. They spend most of the day together beside each other working on their computers. True soulmate love is two people regularly doing things together like working in the garden, swimming together, fixing up the house together, taking walks together, etc. Most couples don't do this. The man works while the woman raises the kids. They do the functional things together like shopping and eating, but rarely do things just for fun together, which is what we all want, to share our lives, our enjoyment of time with someone. It's great if you can have it all, a free-spirited lifestyle and someone to share it with. If you don't have soulmate love, develop your soul to a worthy level now so that when he or she comes into your view for the first time, they will know it's you and you, them. Be cool, do what you do best, and when the time is right, the right one will be attracted to you. Don't waste time in nightclubs waiting for a hero to change your life. Developing your soul is to make what you feel inside come true, living the life you imagine for yourself. A free spirit lives for the soul within and seeks to give it all back to a worthy soulmate equal. A strong soul can get by with self-love if need be, but the heart of the human soul is geared to give love and get it back. Just like soul, love is always a work in progress all the time. Regardless of how much love you have, life is still solitary. You spend most of your day stuck alone in your own thoughts. Of the rest, most of the time is spent exchanging functional, superficial, and frivolous information with people, and if you're lucky, a little bit of your day is filled with a deep, romantic connection, and this is as good as it gets. To me, deep romantic love is a strong feeling you have about someone regardless of anything else, and it has nothing to do with sex. It's more like a companionship with the opposite sex version of your yin or yang, a male and female essence coming together as one, and if two people can do this deeply over the entire course of a lifetime run, they're way lucky. My idea of the deepest soul of the romantic spirit is something like Kool and the Gang's Cherish to a background of two young lovers on the beach sitting at a campfire at sunset. Cherish the life we have, we should cherish the love we live, cherish the love, something like the Moody Blues. Once Upon a Time in Your Wildest Dreams or Endless Love by Lionel Richie and Diana Ross, two hearts that beat in one, but I know even the deepest love is still just a transient romantic moment that will wither away if not cultured all the time. And for a guy like me, it's like I have two rooms in my head, one that wants a deep romantic relationship with a nice, pure, beautiful girl unspoiled by pop culture crap, and another room that's pure carnal energy and it never ends, my sexually aroused feelings that have to be constantly purged all the time. My free-spirited imagination is all too willing to constantly flood my mind with sexy thoughts about thousands and thousands of different female bodies, and guess what? I'm no different than any other normal guy. I'm just one of the few guys out there honest enough to try to tell the truth as my responsibility if I'm to hold onto my integrity as the artist of life I see myself as. There is some psychobabble in this book which is also part of my responsibility, to cover all viewpoints, but I'll always temper it with my own thoughts about the matter at hand, unlike the conventional psychobablists who are trying to shoot a load of bull at you that reinforces the politically correct view of the day so they can be regarded as the system's gurus and sell products so they can make enough money such that they won't have to heed their own advice. The secret to a great love is to enjoy doing the things you love to do together. Do romantic things in an unhurried pace where two people can enjoy being with each other, talking freely and easily, and when it gets mundane, just play it cool. That's the reality of day-to-day life, mundane time together. It's that simple. Find yourself, then find a soulmate to give all the love you feel inside to. Deep intimacy is the final frontier of happiness practiced on a day-by-day level with your love pie. Many people are afraid of romance or afraid to be themselves freely in the pursuit of romance. If you really love someone, don't be afraid to be corny romantic, let it all out unabashed. The true expression of love and emotion is never wrong. Sir Walter Scott, father of romance. Sir Walter Scott, 1771–1832, is considered the father of romance, or at least the romance novel, because he is the creator of the modern romance novel adventure story through such works as Ivanhoe, Kenilworth, The Heart of Midlothian, Rob Roy, The Pirate, Waverley, and many others, including the poem The Lady of the Lake. Born in Edinburgh, Scotland, he became permanently disabled after an attack of fever in his childhood. He had a nostalgia for the medieval days of knights and maidens which he often wrote about. He was troubled by debts all his life but still managed to cruise through the Mediterranean Sea in 1831, after which he returned home to his beloved border country in Scotland, where he died after a stroke in 1832. He was buried at Dryburgh Abbey in Abbotsford. There's a big statue of him in Edinburgh. There's a historic house called Bowhill, 5 kilometers west of Selkirk, that contains an exhibit of his life. Sir Walter Scott Monument. Edinburgh. 0131/529-4068. 287 steps for a view of the city. Romantic stories from history. Some of the chivalrous type stories from the history of romance are as follows. Type these names into search engines. Adam and Eve. The Sorceress by Theocritus, Ancient Greece. Poetry of Ovid, Quevedo, Propertius, and Horace. Ovid's Philemon and Baucis in Metamorphoses. Oedipus and his mother Jocasta, Greek mythology. Samson and Delilah from the Bible. Tristan and Isolde. Eros and Psyche. Venus and Mars, Roman mythology. Jason and the Golden Fleece, Greek mythology. Arawara no Narihira, 823 to 890, and The Imperial Princess, Japan. Anruwara wrote Ise Monogatari or Tales of Ise. The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikubue about the Japanese court. Ulysses, The Odyssey, Greek mythology written by Homer. Anthony and Cleopatra. Plato's Symposium. Pietro Bimbo, 1470–1547, and Lucrezia Borgia, 1480–1519, Venice. Dante's La Vita Nuova, Divine Comedy. Frederick Flaubert's L'Education Sentimentale. The Poetry of Petrarch. Henry IV of France, 1553–1610, and Gabriel d'Estrées, 1573–99. Eleanor of Aquitaine. Marcel Proust, French writer. The Ritual of Courtly Love. John Wilmot, Earl of Rochester, 1647–80, and Elizabeth Barry, 1658–1713, England. King Richard the Lion-Hearted, Other Stories from the Crusades. The Realm of King Arthur and Camelot, the setting for many romance stories by different authors. The Love Triangle of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere and her lover Lancelot. Sir Gareth and Lady of Lyonesse in King Arthur's court. Sir Gawain, the Knight of the Lion, Sir Gawain, the Green Knight, Sir Percival, Sir Lanval, and the exploits of countless others in King Arthur's court. Chaucer and his Canterbury Tales. Hero and Leander. Sir Guy of Warwick and Felice. Charlemagne, French king in King Arthur's world. The Saga of Ogier the Dane. Barlaam and Josaphat, 7th century Greek romance. Robin Hood and Maid Marian. Romeo and Juliet. William and Vivian. Amadis and Oriana. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749–1832, and Charlotte von Stein, 1742–1827, Germany. Don Quixote, Love Interest Maritornes, written by Cervantes. Pliny the Younger and Calpurnia, Rome, 100 AD. John Smith and Pocahontas. The novel Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding, in particular the character Pamela. Daphnis and Chloe. Heloise and Peter Abelard, 12th century France. Bayeux and Dieu. Calixto and Melibea. Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, England, 1530s. Juan and Esclarmonde. Edgar and Winlane. Krishna and Radha, India. Amadis and Oriana. Elizabeth Barrett and Robert Browning, writers in England, 1840s. Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo, Mexico, 1930s. Pierre and Magdalena. Belton Bros and the Damsel of Denmark. Shakespeare's Macbeth and Hamlet. John Milton's Paradise Lost. Boris Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago. Cinderella. Rapunzel. Snow White. Chapter 2. A Romantic Spirit. Romantic Enchantment. Romantic enchantment is to forget about the mundane real world for a while and do things that enable you and your lover to enter into a fairy tale type of existence where everything feels good, is good, and ends well. Ideally, romantic enchantment shouldn't be just a temporary altered state of consciousness you try to enter for a while with your lover, it should be a way of life, the pursuit of the aesthetic sensual spiritual part of it where you two should live forever, sharing your love of life with each other. Forget what's in your head and open up your heart to the passion that lives inside of you. Romance is not achieved by buying flowers and going to an expensive restaurant. It is a state of mind, the way in which you live as an individual looking for the beauty and fun in life and the extent to which you want to pass it on to your lover. It's almost mystical to the extent that it's an X factor. There's nothing really tangible about it that you can measure. It can't be bought by buying jewelry, going to an expensive resort, etc. Some girls might be dazzled by these things, but if they are, it's your tip off that you don't have that magical chemistry. It's a relationship based on tangibles. What can you do for me, the material girl? The best way I can describe romantic enchantment is two people who really like being together in an easygoing, sometimes giddy atmosphere, enjoying each other's company. It's magic, adventure, deep spiritual intimate connections with one another. It's like going back to childhood and innocently playing with one another without self-consciousness or the pretense of guarding yourself and constantly trying to impress one another. Think of romantic enchantment as a sacred, mystical state of being between you and your lover where there are almost no individual barriers. It's just you two as one, comfortable with each other, able to initiate kisses, romance and sex without stopping to think whether you should or not. Most people that I've observed as husband and wife do not have this touch-feely, initiating kind of vibe between them. Most couples feel self-conscious about initiating a kiss, hug, or sex with one another. They're not free enough to just do it, but this is what most of us want, a lover who shows us affection and comes on to us at all times of the day and night, always. But most people will not get this type of romantic enchantment in their lives. They will have prescribed roles. He will earn the bread then come and watch TV, she will clean the house, raise the kids and cook the meals. Romance will be relegated to the occasional night out to a movie and a restaurant, and sex will be a quick, fumbling activity once a week or so, gradually fading as the years roll by. The deepest need, for romantic artists, is to share their hearts with their lovers. In my opinion, most men have very romantic hearts in the privacy of their minds, but to bring it out into the real world is another matter altogether. I too have this self-consciousness, this sense of restraint. It could be because I'm a man who was brought up to be a man in the macho sense, or it could be my nature. The less effort I have to make in intimacy, the more I can be free and not have to waste time doing things I'm not all that interested in anyway. Men, in general, find it difficult to release the love they feel on the inside to the outside freely. This is something I have to work on, but I can often achieve it for a while by letting go and thinking freely for a while, and also when I'm high or buzzed on something. But the thing about me, probably as a typical male, is that I don't want to be romantic for most of the day. I have my activities that I do and I don't want anyone bothering me or interfering. If I'm working out or working on my computer, I don't particularly want any girl to come in and start getting romantic with me. It interferes with my mission at that particular moment. Whereas a lot of girls want this, and this is the spirit of romance, I'm pragmatic for most of the day, and for some of it, I feel so stinky and sweaty that I don't want any girl to get too close and try to kiss me with my bad breath and sweat from working out. So this is reality. I can be romantic in spurts when I do my other activities and get them out of the way, but I can't live in that romantic mist all the time. Although I have been with girls where we shared that easygoing, giddy type of vibe, but there was always a piece of me who didn't want to be bothered when I did my activities, my hobbies, my work, stuff like that. I live by an inner standard of things I do to stay inspired and keep my sense of self-respect high. This supersedes all, even romance. If any girl tries to disrupt this by saying that the things I do are silly, she's history, case closed. There has to be a balance there between the things you do solo and your desire for a romantic lifestyle. This works both ways, not just for the guy. The girl has got to have her own life and a sense of stability and inspiration from within herself, such that she's strong enough to want romance in order to live out a full, glorious life, and not just be a weak person who has to constantly be told by the guy how beautiful and sexy she is in order to give herself some worth. Romance comes from two happy souls who feel good about their lives. If your lover says the wrong thing that reveals her as a money-grubbing prima donna, or if she gains 20 pounds and starts to look unattractive, this strong romantic attraction you initially had about her could go in a flash, and once it's gone, that's it. Despite all the crap you read about it getting it back, I don't think it really works like that. The intuitive, inherent, primal attraction is either there or it ain't, so it takes work to keep yourself as a fine specimen of your gender in order to constantly elicit strong romantic feelings out of your lover. In the real world, the most romantic men are the artistic, creative, free-spirited types who often don't have much money, but because they live in a capitalist world, They feel like emasculated men because they don't have the money and status to whisk their girls away in expensive cars to exotic places, while the guys with these things don't have the freedom nor the aesthetic sense within themselves to be openly romantic. So this is where the twain is in a mixed up world, and because of this, very few couples will get the romance they really want in their heart or hearts. There's always some kind of trade-off somewhere. You have to get over your resistance to love and open yourself up, even if it's hard at first. The ideal is to eventually be free about it. Girls want guys to open up, be unguarded, reveal their fears and weaknesses to them. It's like Adam and Eve running naked through the Garden of Eden, unself-conscious, free, laughing, enjoying being with each other. Little moments like that here and there can sustain a romance during the mundane times, as long as you keep reaching for these types of experiences. Just as it is difficult for some people to give love, it is also difficult for some people to receive love. If somebody wants to give you love, recognize the signals and let it flow. Don't cut them off. A lot of people do this and sabotage their relationships this way. Feed each other love. When she offers you a bite, don't blow her off or say you're too tired. Take that bite, then feed her a bite. When you have your disagreements, don't make them so strong that you cross the threshold of the unforgivable minute. Be more subdued and graceful about your anger. After it's over, forgive your lover, forgive yourself, try to heal together and love one another. Relationships can be messy, but you have to keep getting over the spilt milk to keep the love flowing. You have to connect at the heart again, laugh and share some easygoing times together so you both know you're each trying to feel connected. It always comes down to keeping the love flowing. Whether you have personal problems as an individual or have relationship problems with your lover that block the flow of love, the bottom line is to unplug the hole and let the love flow freely again. This is always the game: get the love flowing again. Offer devotion and gifts to your lover. Show her the light in your soul and keep doing it over and over again. Try to be life partners in every sense of the word. Try to create magic together. Don't think me all the time, think we. Make love a feast of safety, lust, and security with each other. Allow yourselves to love each other. Get over the mask of being cool and detached all the time to love each other honestly and purely. Show your hearts to each other. Make yourself lovable. If you have a great night of sex, love, and lust, don't act like it didn't happen the next morning. Keep the loving flow going. Respect each other. Unite spiritually. Be two hearts in one. Cross the threshold of the solitary skies to be cosmic twins, soulmates, two hearts that beat as one. Make the walls crumble away and melt into tears of love and joy. Spiritual romance for intimacy. The romantic spirit in its purest sense is simply being at home with this person in the spiritual sense. All of our lives, our spiritual quest is to go home. We have a home for a while as kids, but this is shattered when we grow up and leave to find our own homes, which is a place where you're deeply loved and feel comfortable. It's like the movie Citizen Kane. Everything in life comes down to looking for the love and safety of home. All those pseudo-intimate things we do to achieve status and recognition in the world are an awkward attempt to get intimacy and feel some sense of home somewhere, even if it's as superficial as catering to the fickle public, your fan base so to speak. The one sure thing I believe about a romantic connection is that you can't buy it nor can you fake it. It's that X factor. It's either there between two people or it isn't, which is why I don't really believe in lukewarm loves, because they are formed by getting to know someone over time then relating in a mundane, comfortable way. They don't have that instantaneous love at first sight passion to them, which is the only real food of romantic enchantment, this strong spiritual sensual chemistry between two people which can also die just as fast as it started. You can get over somebody just as quickly too. Write out what you love about each other, then share it. A soulmate is an eternal friend. Soulmates spend lots of time together, getting lost in the beauty of life. A soulmate is someone to help you make sense of life. Love is the joy of having someone with whom you can communicate wordlessly. Love is sweetness and smiling. Dancing is great for intimacy. Dancing is the spirit unleashed. You can connect as a couple through dance. Dance together sometimes. You can do this at home if you don't want to go out. Hold hands while going for a walk. Flowers bring life into a house. Gathering around a fire brings intimacy and a return to the ancient days of primal survival. Write out all your complaints against the other. Don't show your lover. Throw them into the fire together to signify a new beginning. Right after this, apologize for things you've done to her that you feel were wrong. Then forgive each other. Say, I forgive you for this, that, and being an insensitive jerk sometimes. Say, I love you. The new moon is the perfect time to go for a walk to help start the relationship anew and get rid of the baggage. Most anger comes from incidents of thoughtlessness or irresponsibility. Say you want to share real happiness. Both of you deserve forgiveness and progress to a new beginning. Photos that represent good times you had are a good central altar for your relationship. Put them in a photo book. It's always there for inspiration. Try lighting candles in a dark room, drinking wine, smoking grass, then talking and possibly touching. Time apart from the ordinary is required to nourish the love. You each talk to each other and say what you think is the beauty and passion of life. You aren't responsible for meeting your partner's spiritual need. You offer support and love for his or her passions. How do you run free with your passions together? Hiking in the woods is a great couples activity. Take time to explore sexual play, to soothe each other's senses. The bedroom should be a peaceful place for creating closeness between you and your partner. My view of romance. Have you ever pulled the car up, walked into the house, told your wife to put something nice on quickly or come as she is and go somewhere, or have a picnic basket and blanket all set up in the car? There are thousands of near-empty public parks around where you can go on a weekday, bring your picnic basket and barbecue/propane stove and enjoy a nice, inexpensive special time together. I was an active outdoor person when I was younger, using park facilities to exercise, run, and bike in, and I very rarely saw lovers there, although I saw a few here and there. People just don't go out much to do romantic things after the tedium of their work lives. In my whitewashed idealized youth, I remember driving to the coast sometimes. We'd get out of the car and walk up and down the lonely seashore together with my dog. When you're out there in the majesty of something as powerful as the ocean, with the waves crashing in and the gulls flying all around, it has a freeing effect on the senses. Two insignificant beings within this grand scheme of things can easily bond and cuddle much better than if they were just sitting at home on the couch watching TV. I remember doing things like this late at night on warm summer nights. This is freedom and love, the highest ideals of the aesthetic. When I was younger, I spent many summer nights going to different waterholes for swims, then going to a cheap restaurant after. Sometimes, we'd sit around and have a barbecue or a little campfire, a little picnic, beer, a bit of drugs, and listen to music and talk and kiss. As I will say again, there's something about the outdoors and nighttime that have a great effect on romance. Find peaceful places in your area where you can go and sit around, like public parks or swimming areas. This is what great memories of youth are made of, all those carefree nights when we lived it for the pure enjoyment of life. I will never forget all those midnight swims we had then, because it was so warm outside. We'd sit around and talk and hug and stuff. This is what the great memories of youthful romance are made of. The outdoors is a natural aphrodisiac. Take her to a hiking store, buy her a pair of hiking shoes, some sexy-looking camouflage pants and a flannel work shirt. She will love this new look to her wardrobe. Learn about some hiking trails in advance, then go for a good hike up a hill where you have a picnic. Then you walk all the way back, go for a swim and have a barbecue under the stars. A dog always helps with the atmosphere. Light a campfire and look into her eyes. That's romance. Bring a blanket to mess around in the woods. Watch out for ants though. I love the outdoors, but I could care less about roughing it like we did on our camping trips during my adolescent years. The perfect solution is the RV, recreational vehicle. You can buy some older ones like a truck with a camper shell for a few $1,000 and then you can go anywhere and you've got an instant home. IRVED through the Rockies in Canada and the Shenandoah Valley/Blue Ridge MTNS in Virginia to the Smokies in Tennessee down to New Orleans on through to Clearwater, Florida. It was a nice trip. In the Rockies, they got a bubble train with a plastic roof, via rail.ca. People don't realize that there are thousands of RV parks and campgrounds on this continent, not to mention our great national and provincial/state parks. Unless you've driven through a few of them with a great stereo in your car, you're missing out on romance because these places have a way of opening anybody up and making them feel great. And it's not just nature. With an RV, you can drive to cities and places around your neck of the woods for city things and not have to worry about high hotel rates, expensive restaurants, etc. You can bring it all within your grasp with an RV. Just buy a good campground directory and you're all set. Whittles has a pretty good one. There are several others too. Buy your food at supermarket delis. Bring the dog for comic relief. Get some local and state tourist guides and you will find plenty of things to do. There are amusement parks, festivals, fairs, new towns to explore, scenic drives, hot air balloons, wineries, new swimming holes, etc. I went to Mardi Gras then went up to Branson, Missouri and it didn't cost much because I did it with an RV and it was a lot of fun. If you're really cheap, just buy a tent from Walmart and set it up in your backyard or take it with you in your car. They've got some tents these days that you can set up in 5 minutes with internal collapsible fiberglass poles. My point with all this talk about RVs is that when you go out and do things to have fun with your girl, that's romantic in and of itself. I was never one for restaurants, limos, the big night out, etc. My memories of romance from youth were the fun times out there doing the things I did anyway, like swimming at lakes and hiking, except that I did them with a romantic companion. If you do active things you like to do, the romance will follow. You can't miss. It's all about connecting at a real level. When you enjoy each other's company in the course of the day spent together, the magic will follow. I love being outside at night when it's warm out. You can make love anywhere as long as you got a blanket. It's so much better than trying to impress somebody with your stupid suit on at some stupid, overpriced restaurant. And that brings me to my next point, food. Just about every book I've scanned about romance harps on food as a big part of it. Romance to me is about two people enjoying each other's company. It doesn't have much to do with food. Maybe it's just me, I choose not to live for my taste buds, but if you feel so inclined, food, like a great gourmet meal, is supposed to be a precursor for romance. Food does have its place in the romance game, albeit, much of it is the cultural brainwash about the big sit-down meal at the fancy restaurant. Stuff like strawberries, chocolate, whipped cream, and little treats have their place as part of a romantic evening. Chocolate supposedly has a chemical in it that makes you feel euphoric, like when you fall in love. A nice romantic evening can be something as simple as going for a walk, then capping it all off with an ice cream cone at the local ice cream parlor. That's more my speed than that sit-down restaurant crap. A good date is simply to cook a nice meal for your girl at home or order some food, have it delivered and eat in the privacy of your home with candlelight and a romantic movie on the VCR. I read one story where the girl asked a guy what his favorite meal was and the next night she cooked it for him. Food is related to pleasure and can enhance mood according to some mood enhancement book I read. Rent a boat for a weekend, go to some isolated spot, set up a tent and make love under the stars. Bring some lawn chairs and some love music. If you're really adventurous, do it in the boat on a nice day. Find an island somewhere and walk around naked, then do it in the soft sand. If the water's shallow, warm, and sandy, do it right there. If you don't like to rough it, rent a cabin somewhere with a fireplace. If you can afford it, rent a cabin cruiser or a houseboat, go out in the ocean, then just let it bob and weave while you're bobbing and weaving inside. Take her out on the deck and lick her all over under the hot sun. Drink some chilled wine, catch a buzz, then engage in a long, amorous kiss. Another thing is the morning time, I'm talking early morning like sunrise. I remember when I was about 22, my girlfriend who worked night shift at a hospital came and got me out of bed at 6 o'clock, we drove out to our favorite lake in the woods, went for a swim as the sun rose, then we went to her house where she cooked us a nice breakfast. We stood in the lake and kissed and hugged. Instead of the usual breakfast in bed crap, you can have a great romantic morning simply by going to a nice place like the beach and watch the sunrise together as you hug and drink your coffee out of a thermos. That morning, we captured something magical about the beauty and sanctity of life. You feel it as you watch the world wake up. Another great idea is either very early in the morning or very late at night, get out of bed an hour before your husband gets up for work, doll yourself up, put some lingerie on, then slink into the room and either wake him up with a striptease or by grabbing his privates and doing it to him. Finish it off with breakfast in bed. One of the most romantic memories I have of my parents as older people is when they'd be out in their garden together, each puttering around enjoying each other's company, working together, helping each other out. One of my greatest memories of childhood watching my parents was just seeing them do things as a couple, like go grocery shopping together, going to church together, sitting together, and otherwise just being together. When two people really love each other, just being together is enough regardless of what they're doing. No matter how seemingly mundane, the loving, inner sparks are flying. You can almost feel it by the magnetic attraction between some couples. To me, that's what romance is all about, not gimmicks but simply a real strong feeling between two people who love each other. Make your husband a nice meal, pack him a nice lunch. Men are funny creatures. They need to feel like men, so make your man feel like one and he will do anything for you. When you pack him the lunch, put a little note in it telling him how much you love him. If you or your husband is going away on a trip, leave him a love note to read with a dab of perfume on it that he will find after the separation. Romance for men. He seems to be in tune with what I'm going through all the time. Girl in love. While watching a blind date TV show, the guy said his idea of perfect romance was drive-through romance. Order exactly what you want in the way of a female as you would order a hamburger, go around to the drive-through, pick it up, consume it, get your sex and feeling of lovey-dovey emotion, let the girl off, throw your junk food garbage away, then go off to sleep. Although this sounds extreme, it's what a lot of men really want in an ideal world, and someday they will have fembots made to be almost human that will fulfill this function for a fee. In the real world, think of one thing always: gentleness, tenderness, and kindness. First off, whatever arrogance you might have, drop it like an anchor. People can read a superiority complex a mile away, and 100% of the population hates male macho arrogance. Don't wear any jewelry except for a functional watch and maybe a necklace with a cross or a pendant with a picture of your mother in it. Don't plaster yourself with logo sportswear or baseball hats. Wear neutral nice clothes that don't attract attention to yourself, which means no tattoos or piercings. Real men don't wear earrings. I don't care how many so-called celebrities out there wear them, earrings on a man send out the message that you're vain, frivolous, and a brainwashed clone who's following the crowd to try to be cool. What kind of message do you think it sends out when someone meets you and sees that earring in your ear? The real world is made up of production, industry, business, homeless people, hungry people, and you're so self-absorbed and trivial that you took the time to go out, buy an earring, look at your pretty mug in the mirror and put it in your ear. Isn't that cute? Read 2 Timothy 3:1-5. They will be only lovers of themselves. In the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without natural affection, merciless, slanderers, without self-control, cruel, despisers of those who are good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. 2 Timothy 3:1-5. Do you think that women think you're cool or stupid for wearing an earring? If you want to attract a real lady with substance, Do not wear an earring. The same deal goes with tattoos and piercings, all infantile stuff done by people with something missing in their lives that they have to do those meaningless things to build their identities up and get attention. Another one is ponytails, especially on older guys. You're just sending out the message that you're trying to be cool in a phony way. Can the phoniness, be yourself. A lot of guys buy into the phony brainwash of the world about being manly and macho, like make it to the top, win, beat everybody, be number one, drive a cool car, watch sports on TV and pretend you like it, drink beer because everyone else is, etc. You don't have to play homie's game. Free yourself. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to openly express yourself to your girl. Be your real self like you are with your dog. Don't be afraid to express your kindly traits even if they appear feminine. Kiss her hand, look deeply into her eyes, then hug her tight. Tell her you will love her for the rest of her life and do it. Decide that you want marriage and you want to be a happy husband who will love his wife forever. Be her best friend. Respect her, honor her, love her. Two souls in one, that's your motto. You will win over almost any woman with this attitude, I guarantee it. Go to your local drugstore to buy her a love card, but while you're there, read the little sayings in a bunch of them. A good simple one is, when I look into your eyes, I see forever, or you drive me crazy, or there's just something about you that makes me wild, or you make me feel like a man, or your eyes are like sapphire diamonds. Can you picture yourself saying those things to her? No matter how corny, they will still sound good to her as long as you're sincere. Build a little barbecue in your yard. Find home project books at #680-89 at the library. Fire Under the Stars has a mystical quality to it. There's one thing you could do that's great, but you have to be drunk or act drunk to do it. Have a barbecue outside, get drunk, put a tape in with slow love songs, then start dancing with her under the moonlight. Booze has its place. It works. As long as you don't get too drunk, booze has a way of loosening two repressed lovers up. Sometimes a little buzz is just what the doctor ordered for a good dose of loving. Tape a bunch of love songs off a golden oldies or soft rock station. Get a nice car stereo, make that cool tape of songs and go for an aimless scenic ride with the stereo blasting, then pull off somewhere and take a walk in the woods with a blanket. Treat her like a queen. The reason you should treat your wife very special is because she's been brought up all her life with her dolls and all that stuff to believe in love, to anticipate it, to need it, and then when it happens, she gives herself fully to it and you don't. You go to work. That's your arena of conquest while your wife and family are a sideshow. And then you wonder why she's so bent out of shape. It's wrong and you know it. She wants to love you and wants you to let her into your life. Love does not have to end with the honeymoon. Keep treating her as though you're still courting her. To her, marriage is everything. She has to get married by societal standards, you don't, so go easy on her. Never say anything negative to her where you're comparing her to your mother, the secretary at work, or the one with the big boobs at the mall. Women hate being compared with other women. Woman is not just a set of boobs and a pretty face. Admire her for who she is as a real live person, like she's beautiful, nice, warm, a good worker, she's smart, funny, she's good with the kids, etc. Prove your love to her all the time. She's your most special girl in the whole wide world. Buy gifts no matter how cheap. Hair care products and on-sale clothing at Walmart are great. Lack of money is no excuse. Little things mean a lot. You have to let her know you care. Buy her a nice, cheap print dress for $40. Don't forget all the special days in her life, like her birthday and your anniversary. Take her out. Get away for the weekend. Notice things like her new dress, her new perfume, hairstyle, etc. It's fine to initiate, but if she doesn't want you to do something, stop. Don't disrespect her body. Be graceful always. Flattery will get you everywhere. While you're at work, think up cute things to say to her when you get home. Open your mouth and talk, talk, talk to her. Then listen. Share your feelings with each other. Break out of the work, sports, news talk to talk about other things like feelings. You're more than your work, so expand your personality. Analyze yourself as a human being and make appropriate changes. Whenever in doubt, think back to your courtship days and repeat the process. Bathe her in endearing terms. Be a thoughtful gentleman. Your wife will love you if you treat all women as a thoughtful, unavailable gentleman. Then they will all be jealous of how lucky she is. When she gets older, don't criticize her looks. Get a dog and take him for walks together. Be smart. 5 minutes of love talk will give you 5 hours of peace in the house. When she talks about her problems, don't analyze too deeply and give answers, just nod and be supportive. Sense of humor, emotional support, and childlike playfulness are the most important qualities that women want in a man. Sex is love, treat it that way. Romance means touching and caressing. It's not just a blowtorch that fizzles out. Pamper her, breakfast in bed, moonlit walks, give her a break, do things for her. Become her fantasy lover, but don't make the fatal mistake that lots of men make, that is that you're a jerk and a grouch 90% of the time, and when you go to touch her, you expect her to melt in your arms. It won't work. You have to be a gentleman all the time. Most women are kind of like you, normal, decent people. If you meet a very beautiful one, that's alright if she's looking for a nice guy, but watch out for them if they're vain or seem to be more concerned with how they look than trying to get to know you. Many women love only themselves. Beware. All women need to connect with you every 36 to 48 hours to talk to you so they can read you and know what's on your mind. They have to feel like you're on their wavelength by connecting with you through conversation, which is why you should acknowledge them with 5 minutes of conversation almost every day and not just live in your own bubble all the time. Women need their husbands to talk to them, otherwise they start to feel like they're alienated from you and maybe you don't love them anymore. Another thing that throws a lot of men from movies and such is that they think nice girls are all prim and proper and spend their time just being nice. Well, nice girls get lonely too, and they're just like you in the biology department. They need loving and want to be approached. They have the same sexual fantasies as you do, so don't be afraid to hug them, squeeze and do other lustful things with them, all in a manner of due course though. Be uninhibited like a friendly wild animal. Go for it, play out the fantasy script of seduction with her. That's what she wants. She will love you for your romantic corniness. She's been dreaming about it all her life, so don't let her down. Be that cornball knight in shining armor, or more realistically, just do the simple gentlemanly things when taking her out on a date. Open the car door for her, let her enter first everywhere, open all doors for her, and when she leaves then re-enters the room, stand up and don't sit until she does so. Help her take her coat off and move the chair back for her, all simple things that she could easily do herself, but it's the gesture that counts. If you're away a lot, use the telephone. Be especially romantic and vigilant as your wife ages to reassure that she's still beautiful. Jesus told the parable of a man who built his house on sand. When the waves came, it went crashing down. The analogy is that if you don't have a good foundation, you're doomed, just like your marriage. Many men take their wives for granted until she snaps and splits, then they go nuts and try to win her back again. Why not build a strong foundation right from the start? If you're the kind of guy who keeps his cell phone on during supper and answers your calls, watch out, your marriage is on thin ice. The little things all add up until it's too late. 2 other romance killers are the angry husband and the critical one. The sexual killers are Slam Bam Joe, the man who sees his wife as a sex object and expects sex on demand, and Boring Brad, too shy to initiate, he just said the heck with it and now lives in a sexless marriage. We think we're genetically pre-wired to be attracted to big breasts, but when it comes right down to it, most men will take a sweet, nice girl over a big busted maven any day. In fact, most women out there don't have big breasts and they're getting along just fine. I like big boobs just like any guy, but I've also fell in love with girls that had small breasts because I was taken by their sweet, inner beauty, that beautiful feminine essence that can't be defined in words. You either got it or you don't, that certain way you carry yourself and live your life. You can't fake it. I see through all the phonies thinking they're ladies by instinct. You can't really fake who you are. It's written all over you, doubly so when you open your mouth. If you try too hard at something, it gives you away that you're not really like that. That's what really matters, someone who feels warm like a perfect fit when you snuggle with them. Anybody can have big boobs, but there's a backlash against fake, cosmetic boobs. In the final analysis, don't be afraid to shed that strong, silent exterior you've been conditioned to put up for the world, but don't go to the opposite extreme and come on like Rico Suavo, the charming, skin dog sleazo. Just think like you're a combination of Clark Kent and Superman, a bit of nerd and macho. Women care about what you look like and what the house looks like even if you don't. Women probably spend more time in the house than you do, so if she tells you the kitchen sink is leaking, fix it for peace of mind's sake, otherwise it will just stay nagging at her mind and she will be thinking what a lazy scumbag you are. If you hang out with your guy friends, you'd better balance it out with spending time with her, otherwise she will start to get jealous. Dress well, keep yourself clean. Do different things together to build a common foundation of life experiences. Be a stand-up, take charge kinda guy where you have a plan of what you want to do with her romantically and do it. Call her on the phone just to tell her you're thinking about her and love her. Talk about pleasant memories from the past. Give her compliments. Try to feel good and relaxed when together in the bedroom. Don't fight in the bedroom. Talk to her about your true feelings in life. If you like adult videos, buy her a few romance novels. That's her pornography. It will soften her up for the big love fest. If she likes a particular musical group, go out and buy her a tape of them. A romantic home. This is what Feng Shui, a Chinese New Age art form, says about creating a romantic home. Clean out clutter and keep your home neat and tidy. A crystal chandelier adds a romantic air. If you want romance, get rid of the single feeling in your home or apartment. Put your little knickknacks and stuff around in pairs. Get rid of any photos of you alone. Put out a pair of crystal swans. Place fresh flowers in your place. If you cannot place fresh flowers, artificial or silk flowers will do. Put some green plants with large leaves around. Set a pair of mandarin ducks on the coffee table. Keep the bathroom clean. Keep the toilet seat down. Don't have a big mirror in your bedroom. Put it in the bathroom. Have a pet, but he must not stink up the house. A romantic home websites. romantichomesmag.com. backhomemagazine.com. bhg.com. birdsandblooms.com, yard. burksbackyard.com.au. calhomesmagazine.com. homesandcottages.com. cog.ca, Canadian Organic Growers. coastalliving.com. coloradohomesmag.com. countryliving.com. elonline.com, Early American Living. hanleywood.com. finegardening.com. finehomebuilding.com. gardencompass.com. hortmag.com. housebeautiful.com. loghomeliving.com. homebuyerpubs.com. mountainhouseandhome.com. mountainliving.com. Chapter 3. Romance, the Art of Delusion. Romance is action, activity, and adventure. People need a purpose as a couple, like doing activities together. A common one is fixing up the house. Do something that makes you sweat together. Try a cooking class. Grow a garden. Start a part-time business together. Renew focus on love, lust, and life by doing things together. Pick out things to try and places to visit. Hobby Industry Association of America. Hobby.org. Findmeahobby.com. allcraftsandhobbies.com, hobbyuniversity.com, multihobbies.com, ehow.com, hobbyholics.com, hobbyco.com/tools, hobby.net.au, hobbything.com, hobbywoods.com, woodworking supplies, horizonhobby.com, howtodothings.com/hobbies. How to give the romance signal. Men and women alike say they don't feel comfortable about initiating sex, don't know when they should do it, and even though a lot of educated guys like their girls to initiate, much of the working class, blue-collar types feel they're the boss of the house and sex only happens when they want it, not the girl, the old Archie Bunker mentality. Anyway, they say to act frisky when you want it and set up conventions or codes like tell her you're gonna take a shower then smile at her. If she wants it, she either says I will join you or meet you in bed. In order to give the hint you want to make love or in order to recognize when someone is giving you the signals, it's very simple. The closer they get and the more they smile, the more they want intimacy. When it's happening to you, mirror it back and bring it up a notch. If someone doesn't look at you, scowls or keeps their distance, don't waste your time. Leave them be. A soft touch, whether accidental, innocuous or sexual, is always a positive sign of like and attraction. A smile is always big. Lingering eye contact is huge. A soft, gentle voice is hot stuff. I believe in sensual spiritual vibes. You give off the vibe as to how receptive and attracted you are to somebody through subtle body language that's so ingrained into us that we often don't even realize it on a conscious level. Another one is to ask her how she feels, and if she says frisky, you know it's on. You should also have a code when you're not feeling well, like say I got a headache or I'm not feeling too good. For couples in a relationship, the easiest way to initiate sex between the both of you is to have a code phrase, something like I'm feeling kinda hot or I'm feeling kinda frisky, so that the other knows that you want it now. The number system is good. Ask her how she's feeling on the number scale from 1 to 10. She knows you're asking about sex without being crude about it, so she might say that she feels like 7 but will probably feel an 8 after some rest, so that means she wants sex later. Tell her to initiate with you by asking you how you feel, then smiling at you. The thing is to be clear about your intentions. One couple has 2 figurines on their coffee table, a guy and a girl. If either feels horny, they lay their gender one down on its side and the other will see it at some point in the next little while and have the option of laying hers down too or raising his back up, meaning she doesn't feel like it, so then they know clearly without having to play word footsie and possibly being rebuffed. Learn to read each other's signals. In the old days, guys used to buy screw coins at saloons and then redeem them for a roll in the hay with a saloon whore. You might try this approach, make some saloon coins up. If you're out somewhere and feel hot, go in the bathroom, take your panties off, go back, put them up to his face so he smells them, then put them in his hands or his pocket. Get a leash. When you feel sexy at home, snap it on him and take him to bed. Call him and tell him what you want him to do to you sexually right now. Grab him by the belt loop, by the tie, or unzip his pants, pulls his cock out, then lead him to bed or the couch where you have sex. Some people want sex all the time and some never want it, but this is about as good a system as you can get, barring being 2 nymphomaniacs who want it all the time or 2 sexless nerds who never want it. Biggest fallacy of romance. There are really 3 big fallacies about romance. The first is the dreamy images we've all been raised on about a lovey-dovey fantastic love sweeping us away, which rarely happens in the real world because despite all of our pretenses, hair coloring and fashions, many of us are very ordinary people who don't really inspire mythical love images in others. We look alright and are basically healthy, but we're not the drop-dead gorgeous stuff that dreams are made of, and more importantly, we have real problems in the real world which keep us from walking around in a candle-lit haze being dreamily romantic all the time. Number 2 is the lie and illusion that mostly women fall for, that the Moody Blues sang about regarding looking for someone to change my life, looking for a miracle in my life. This is the biggest lie of life. to think that there's somebody out there that's gonna change your life and sweep you away. Your reality is in your head. At least 90% of your time is spent alone. Romantic love really can't change you very much because in the grand scheme of things, it's always you alone in charge of your life. Number 3 is the expectation that the fantasy of your first year of lovey-dovey romance will simply automatically go on for a lifetime. Your husband will get beaten up by work and gain 20 pounds. You will get dumpy raising kids. I'll bet that at least one of you will resort to some kind of addiction to deal with a feeling of helplessness and lack of control in your life, because this is what I see everywhere I go, people addicted to something negative, be it prescription pills, pop culture entertainment, food, etc. I'll say it again, get a solid base by reading the wisdom in my free spirit book and live by it. Chances are that you will be two generic people stuck with each other trying to pretend there's some spark there, but you both lost your ability to take care of yourselves, your youthful spark, which means you lost your confidence and desire to be romantic because you're middle-aged duds. If you want romance to last, you must culture a great life for yourself and pass it on to your lover. Youthful spark and inspiration are more important than romance because they allow you to be a great romantic person because you feel great about life, and when you feel great, you spread this joy around. But if you don't have it, you can't be romantic because inside, you feel like an uninspired bag of cat poop. Romance gestures / romantic things to do. At the movie theater, put your arm around her, then she will put her head on your shoulder. Be there whenever she needs you. Be gentle, especially after a fight. Be serious at the appropriate times. Be patient about the time she spends on makeup and clothes. The need to love and be loved takes on many forms. Recognize when your mate is tense and help them through it. Be sensitive to their moods. Your most important success in life is your love life. Kiss sweetly. Run the water in the tub. Lead him or her to the tub by the hand. Make him feel loved and cared for. Undress him and bathe him. Massage him and baby him for a while. Pillows. Dry him. Feed him. Lay down with him. Sometimes romance does not mean sex, rather being together. Leave a trail of rose petals leading to your bedroom or the bathroom where a hot bath is waiting. Sex talk has a tone. It could be lewd or nice. Try to look good physically. Give compliments. Be tender. Picnic at the lake, hike in the woods. Read a romantic story together. Buy a dozen helium balloons and put them up with a banner reading happy birthday, anniversary, etc. Be caring. Be honest with her. Don't fight. Offer ideas for what to do in bed and in life. Candlelight, soft music, and wine. Cuddling together as on the sofa watching a love movie. Get a picnic basket. Put food in it. Go for a picnic. Try new restaurants. Visit tourist attractions and historical sites. Rent a cottage somewhere. Give her a kiss when in an elevator alone as a couple. Cherish the love. Bring her a bouquet of flowers and a bottle of wine. Buy her some of her favorite music. Buy her a stuffed animal. Sending quality time together leads to good sex later. Creating a romantic mood gives you brownie points for sex. If you do physical activity together, the endorphins you release help with sex later. Go to a strip joint together. Look around for love, massage, tantra, and sex workshops / seminars in your area. Try a horse-drawn carriage which exist in big city parks and in tourist areas. Go to a karaoke bar or karaoke night at a bar. Do romantic, memorable things on ordinary days like drive to the next town and eat at some restaurant just for fun. Go on a wine tour with your partner. Do road trips. Drive somewhere then drive around that area for a while. Visit a water park and / or an amusement park. Go to a nudist park / beach at least once as a couple. Call her in the morning and wish her a good day at work or school. Call her at night to wish her a good night. Call her on the phone. Close your eyes when kissing. Comfort her when she cries. Take her for walks at night. Tell her how much you love her. Massage her back. Do something nice. Do what she wants. Don't squeeze too hard in a hug. Don't lie to her. Don't be aggressive or pushy. Don't cheat on her. Don't ask to kiss. Just do it. Give a goodbye kiss. Talk sexy. Whisper sexy things. Walk around naked or showing skin. Go up behind her and hug her from the back. Walk on the beach near sunset. Some people buy hot tubs so they can sit in them together. Build a fire in your yard. If it's against the law, do a little one in your barbecue. Cook marshmallows. Feed each other. Give a foot rub. Write a love letter to your lover. Hand on waist. Have conversations. Help her out. Hold her. Hold her close and kiss her. Hold hands while walking. Hug her and say hi whenever you see her. Hug her. Hug her from behind around the waist. Hug her for longer than 30 seconds. If it seems like there is something wrong, ask her. If she says nothing is wrong, hug her. If she's upset, comfort her. Kiss on the lips. Kiss on the ears. Kiss on the neck. Kiss her passionately. Hug her from behind. Walk in the rain with the one you love. Kiss on the cheek. Kiss her slowly. Kiss on the hand. Laugh with her. Lay down under the stars with her head on your chest. Let her sit on your lap. Hold her hand in public. Keep conversations flowing. Listen to her. Listen to him. Look into her eyes and tell her you love her. Look in your eyes. Look at her lovingly. Make her smile when she's down. Dance without self-consciousness. Make him feel important. Make friends with his friends. Make her feel loved. Make her feel special. Most women like to be kissed. Never ignore her. Open doors for her, walk her to her car. Participate in her hobby with her. Playing with her hair. Remember little things she says in casual conversation, then buy her that gift or take her to that place. Say I love you. Sing together to a song on the stereo. Slow dance with or without music. Don't ignore her. Smell good. Wash with soap. Use shampoo. Speak with a soft voice. Stare into her eyes. Stop being a spectator of sports. Spend the time doing things with her. Stroke her hair. Take her shopping or just go with her. Take her for a drive. Talk regularly. Tell her she looks good. Tell her she's your everything if you mean it. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her the way you feel about her. Show her you mean it. Tell her she's great at something. Don't try to change or improve her. Tell her you miss her. Touch her in a loving way. Don't grab her tits. Just rub her back as you walk by. Try to be funny, make her laugh. Watch a love movie together. When you want to cuddle, tell him you're cold. Sit close together. When she tells you she loves you, tell her you love her too and kiss her. Romance professionals. Nobody starts out a professional at romance. Even young people who are sincere come off like textbook soap opera cases. You can be as corny as a soap opera about halfway, but the other half should be the real you. Most young people do not have strong enough identities to be relaxed enough to just do as they feel without judging themselves on some illusory standard of romance they got from the movies. To me, romance is just two people enjoying each other's company without fake moves or trying to act like a soap opera star. You shouldn't try too hard. You should be who you really are, but the problem with this is that most people are not really proud of themselves as individuals, so to be real means to be average. They try to compensate with puffery, but that's fake. I have no answers beyond the fact that you should develop yourself to the point where you're proud of who you are as an individual within yourself without being cocky about it to others. If you can get to this point, romance and dating should be easy. Just be yourself, try to be nice, Don't try too hard, and if the other person doesn't give you the attraction that you feel should be there, why waste your time? Cut it off. I have never tried too hard because I always felt it was a two-way street. If the mutual attraction is there, the two people don't have to try too hard. Other than that, look in the mirror. Society has portrayed the ideal male and ideal female as someone who works out 6 hours a day, has a successful job or business, and is a cool, trendy person on top of it who's the life of the in crowd. Get real. Be more realistic about the person you're dating. Don't expect a mythical person that does not exist in the real world. Be more tolerant. Give a little bit. Don't put anyone on a pedestal. Real people want a real relationship. A relationship means relating as human beings, not a guy telling a girl how much he adores her. This cannot sustain itself over time. Weak girls like the adoration. A real girl wants a real guy she can talk to. If you put someone on a pedestal, you're putting yourself lower than her. It won't work. You are just two human beings trying to make your way through life. No one is that much more advanced or special than anyone else, especially after the grace and beauty of youth is gone by about the age of 35. Chapter 4. New Age Romance Arts. Vision Quest as a couple / pick a name as a couple. You and your partner are together for both romantic and pragmatic reasons, but also for spiritual type reasons. I read an article which replicated the standard vision quest but as a couple. They said go in the woods, hike, walk, talk, sit around a campfire and sleep out for a day or two. Think up an endearing name or a catchphrase for you two as a couple that affectionately describes who you are as a kind of mantra, your life purpose as a couple. The story is that Indians used to go out into the woods alone at young adulthood to come up with a name that described their identities. It's the same thing for a couple. Renew the novelty, passion, and excitement in the relationship. Renew your vows. Do anything together. Do new things together. Talk, talk, talk. Create a healthy attitude about the relationship. Try to be sexy with each other. Some people try swinging or open relationships. Some people say it's okay to be attracted to someone else, sleep with them and stay in a monogamous relationship. All the other stuff is minor candy. There are easily 1,000 books and articles on how to spice up a relationship in life and in bed. If it's dead, it's dead. Try walking and talking. If that doesn't do it, nothing can, but people stay together for reasons other than love, like financial security or afraid of being alone. Walking away from a bad situation is a good thing. I just finished watching a rich guy on TV constantly talk about his money and talk about getting divorced because the marriage was not cost effective, so there are lots of dunces out there. People turn into dunces over time. Many women get fat and ugly. If you're not physically attracted to your spouse, that's a good enough reason to leave. How about the alcoholic? Who wants to be with an alcoholic? People stay in bad situations for fear of loss, being alone, fear of change, fear of money problems, fear of hurting the other person. People stay because they believe they do not deserve any better or because it is familiar. Wear sexy clothes. Try a bubble bath and massage together. Be friendly and nice to each other. If you are walking on eggshells and afraid of your partner, it's time to leave. Don't stay with a dud because of loyalty. Be nice but set boundaries. We are used to immediate gratification. Set up anticipation by sending love notes, an email saying what you want to do that night, etc. Smell the roses together. Do things together. Exercise together so that it will help with sex drive. Experiment sexually together. Try the fetishes like dressing up, etc. Try bondage and leather toys. It can't hurt to give your partner a sex book to read. Buy a toy from babelland.com. Try watching porn together. Be more open with each other. Create the anticipation that better things are happening in the relationship. Lose weight together. Kiss more. Do oral sex on each other. Don't use sex as a weapon. Use it as a tool of love. Clean up. Do something to look better. Have sex outdoors. Arouse each other. Don't reject sexual advances. Have sex talk. Have more sex. Make the decision to stay, then don't regret it. If you're addicted to your spouse, wean yourself off the addiction.